Hello, everybody. We are live. We are back with another week of Tales from the Tavern with a very, very awesome group of people. I'm so excited to welcome some people that have been on the show in the past on our previous channel and some people that are brand new to coming to hang out with us. So I'm going to go around. I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves. And we are going to actually start with Bonnie Jean.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi.
I'm Bonnie Jean. I am just Bonnie Jean. I'm not on any streams or anything, but I really love D&D and everybody that plays it. And I love Luna, so here I am.
We really love you. I actually had the privilege of getting to play a one-shot with Bonnie Jean a few weeks ago, which was a ton of fun.
It was really fun.
Yeah. She played a squirrel named Karen. That's great.
I love her.
Yes, she is priceless. Next, we are going to go to Doug from Good Better Quest.
So I'm Doug from Good Better Quest. I play Durak, and I have a lot of fun with them, and they're a really great group of people. So y'all should come check out Good Better Quest. And I think some of the guys are in the room tonight. So hit up.
Yes, they are all here to support you. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I know we've been trying to get you on for a while, so I'm glad it worked out that we were able to have you join me. Next, we are going to go over to Chase.
Hey, my name is Chase. I am the creative director of Ghostlight Media. We are a small podcast network with a focus on theater and gaming. A bit more relevant to specifically what we're doing here tonight is I am the DM of Another Path, which is a D&D actual play adventure where we do a lot of focus on the theatrics of it. Character building, world building, all that fun stuff. I do a couple other things, but that is definitely the most relevant to what we're doing here tonight.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
Casey, let's go to you, the adjunct GM.
Yep. Hey, I'm Casey Williams, the adjunct GM. I am over here on Twitch as well. I do actual plays on Fridays and interview show called Cover to Cover every other Saturday. Getting ready to start, usually GM, play sometimes. Getting ready to start our new Witcher campaign, You Can't Teach an Old Wolf New Tricks, this coming Friday.
Excellent. That sounds like a lot of fun.
I am very excited.
Yes, Blades, that is Karen the squirrel.
I'd like to speak to that tree's manager.
And last but absolutely not least, we have Ray Mayhem.
Hello, everybody. I am Ray. I paint minis. I've been on a couple of podcasts. I DM, I GM, and generally I'm really good if you ever get stuck with like character building. Just saying, like slide into my DMs. I'm very good at that. So.
And she runs fantastically fun RP chat rooms if you get the chance to ever do that with her sometime. So
true story.
Mm-hmm. And Ray, I understand you brought a giveaway with you tonight.
I did. So I painted up a storm giant. Here he is here. This is like
so beautiful.
It is incredible.
So
like
so
I wish that the magic dust showed up a little better, but it still is pretty cool. So this is the giveaway for tonight. So
yes,
throwing that out there.
And if you would like to see another picture of it, there is a couple of photos of it on our Twitter. So, yeah, you can definitely check it out there. But exclamation point ticket will enter you in. We will draw the winner at the end of the stream, and you have to be here to win because we need you to speak up and chat so we can get you connected. So, yeah.
Now, I'm going to ask the true neutral question here. Can we hit exclamation friend?
You
or
absolutely can, as long as you are not as long as you are not part of the shared experience official team, then yes, you can absolutely enter to win.
Good.
I like
I have
don't
one
take
of
praise well, so all of this is making me like, oh god.
I have one of Ray's minis that she painted for me. She painted me a red dragon, and he is amazing. His name is Steve. He lives downstairs.
He's very
so
cute.
I
He's
can't.
very cute.
Yeah, his name is Steve. So I can't go grab him right now. But yeah, he's fantastic. And then actually, Casey's wife knitted me a dragon too. That just came in the mail last week. So
What?
yeah, yep. She knitted me this really, really adorable purple dragon. That I was streaming actually when the package arrived. So my chat named the dragon for me. Her name is Violet. So
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
so cute.
Mine's named
Oh.
here, and I'm actually going to be doing a giveaway for one of these very soon.
Excellent.
Mm.
All right. So I know, David, I know you wanted the first question, but I already promised the first question could go to Ray because she had a really great one before the stream. So you can have the next question, okay? So the first question actually goes kind of closely with what David asked, but the first question is, what would your pet's, what was it, class and race be if they were a character?
Right. If your pet was a character in a campaign, what would their race and class be? And their alignment. What would, like, if they were a character themselves, what would they be?
I love that question.
Okay.
Dive on in. Jump on in.
All right. Sweet. All right. Well, I have a cat named Kevin, and he would definitely be a rogue, and he would be dragonborn, and he would definitely be chaotic evil. He's great.
I'm going to go with, for my Black Lab, Dante, Hobgoblin for the extra reach, and Monk because he just keeps getting movement speed, and he definitely has missile snaring for fetch. The Corgi is just a halfling bard because,
Oh. Did you
Just
say it was a corgi?
yes, we have a Pembroke Welsh tricolor Corgi named
oh my
Roxy.
gosh.
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
I love everything about that.
She may randomly run downstairs, if so, I'll readjust the camera appropriately.
Good.
I'll go. I've got I don't have any pets currently, so I will go with the last pets that I had, which were actually my roommate's animals while we were living together. She had a cat and a dog. The Black Lab's name was Duo. Yes, after Duo from Gundam Wing.
Nice.
Absolutely 100% Minotaur Barbarian. Absolutely just destroyed everything. We could not leave anything out at all whatsoever. If it was out, it was fair game. That belonged to Duo. If you left it out, it was your fault. She also had a black cat named Treats. Treats is 100% a gnome wizard. Very small, no coordination whatsoever, had terrible vertigo, could not go up high, always wanted to go up high.
with a negative intelligence score.
Exactly. But look. I mean, still did it, shouldn't have done it. It was always a mistake, still always managed it.
Great dex.
Poorly spec'd character, but a
Yeah,
character nonetheless. Both of them. Also all of them. Both of them lawful good. Like sweet
That's
as could
fair.
be.
That's
Actually,
fair.
no. Duo was chaotic good.
Mhm.
All right.
Just real quick, I think Kevin heard me, and now he's knocking everything off of.
Like, I'll show you chaotic
Right.
Well,
evil.
that's just a cat.
I'll show
He's like,
you.
screw you.
Playing the character.
Okay, sorry.
I have two cats, Molly and
Mine,
Daisy.
mine are right.
Oh.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Nope. You are the host. Go ahead.
You are the guest. But Molly and Daisy, Molly is the one that most frequently will appear with me on stream. She would be a neutral good. I don't know what she would be for a class. She's like 15, so all she does is like sleep and eat. So what class would that be?
She sounds very wizardy to me.
Yeah.
Maybe monk. Maybe
yeah,
monk.
she
Maybe
could be a
monk.
monk.
Mm-hmm.
Artificer, they spend a lot of time doing nothing.
Yeah, that's true. And then my cat Daisy, technically she's my daughter's cat, and I would absolutely say that she is chaotic neutral. She's the cat that will tear the house apart at 2 a.m, and then snuggle up next to you on the couch after doing it. So, and I would say that she is probably, I would say she's like she might be a monk. She's pretty rambunctious. And she likes to jump and play and like beat up toys, and yeah, she might be a monk.
Love that.
She's very athletic.
Athletic monk.
Glorious
I've got 2 dogs. I got one named Fig, and she is definitely roguish. Little rangery, but she's a snaky snake. And so I think, and I mean, and she's lawful neutral. She's gonna do what she does. She's gonna do it the way that she does it, and she's gonna do it the same way every time. Fig Justice, that's right. And every once in a while, so Fig Justice is all right. So we got another dog named Rox, and Rox is like a chaotic neutral
Fighter.
barbarian.
She's just a fighter.
You think
She's
so?
just bouncing off
She's
of
a
shit.
fighter? It's just her dex is just through the roof though, because she will jump flat-footed over top of Fig, and Fig's not a little dog. And but when Rox is being super ridiculous, and I'm fussing at Rox about something, Fig will stop doing whatever bad thing she was doing and like grab Rox by the neck, and I call that Fig
God.
Justice.
Fig Justice.
That's amazing.
Justice.
And what race would they be?
Oh yeah, important question.
Oh, I think I mean Fig is definitely an elvish sort of an elvish sort.
True.
I
I would be mad if you said
I
anything else.
think right. I know. I feel like Rox is like is like a small Goliath. You know what I mean? Like
She's like a
she's the
dwarf
littlest
Goliath half-breed.
Yeah, like a dwarf Goliath. Yeah. She's like a little bitty Goliath. I mean, she's like 45 pounds. She's stout. I mean, she's a big block of a dog. But yeah, small Goliath.
That's fantastic.
So I have 2 dogs and a horse that we've been talking about, and so the dogs, like, Theodore is definitely a drow, chaotic neutral rogue, because he's just like he is just so he's part bull terrier. So like some days he's sweet as pie, and some days he is a maniac bouncing off my walls. Max is my older guy. He's a Staffordshire Terrier, and he's definitely like a lawful, good halfling druid. Just this like sweet, kind, get along to go along kind of thing. And then Mongo, I've been having a lot of fun like thinking about him, because like he's new and I'm trying to like figure him out. And he would definitely be a chaotic good, because he's going to do the right thing, but he's going to do it his way. And he would definitely be a paladin, because he is like a knight with a purpose. That's very much how he puts himself off. And I think as far as race, he strikes me as like a turtle. like very tough, but not going anywhere real quick.
I love that.
And Doug knows him, so he's like, this is true. These are true things.
Man,
Yeah.
say turtle not going anywhere. In my other day job, I am a reporter, and I recently covered a story about an African tortoise that escaped from its family, and they found it. They found the tortoise, by the way. Solomon has been returned home, but he made it like 50 miles.
Wow.
And I learned that is very common.
Holy
Tortoises
cannoli.
regularly escape, and
I
it
mean,
makes me kind of want to do a all turtle prison break game.
That's just at that point. That's just momentum, baby. They're just gonna go, right?
Dude, that's the next Among Us.
50
You need to come up with like this multiplayer
Yes.
tortoise.
I am
game.
in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I am so in for that. That's amazing.
I bet everybody's real glad I'm on this stream tonight. I've taken us in such a weird direction to start.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
Well, no,
I
it's
love
okay.
Last
Oh my
time
God.
we were here, we talked about how to do a sword-based economy for a game or something.
That was amazing.
That's just Dragonlance. Because they barter all in steel. I stole that for my podcast.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
That's a thing. Their economy is steel based, and I've always loved that.
So Staghorn just put in chat that your turtle would be Escape from Shelcatraz.
I need it. I deeply need it.
That's amazing.
That's my DM.
Go ahead
That's my
and
DM,
trademark that.
David.
I love it.
That's
Serving
that's
justice
good.
on a half shell.
Turtle power.
I love it.
Love it.
Damn it.
Oh
Now
my
the whole
gosh.
theme song is in my head.
This is right up there
Old
with My
one.
Little Ponies and Ravenloft.
Mhm.
Oh,
That needs to
girl.
happen.
Yes.
That needs to happen.
That's a conversation that has happened between me and Ray and Wolf's Blood, and yeah, it
they're-
needs to be a thing.
I'm here for
They're
it.
putting
I'm
out
here
an
for
official
it.
supplement, aren't they?
Are they?
My little-
Like, I
Really?
heard something about like some kind of like My Little Pony branded D&D supplement. coming
Yeah,
out.
It'll-
no,
it'll
no,
be a
no.
Dylan
They
Grimm
have
product.
they have a whole TTRPG. It's called My Little Pony Adventures of Equestria. I have the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, they're
So all
I
we have
bought
to do
it
is
at
just
a yard sale
On the
for
play, too.
$15. I was
Wow.
best yard sale
Seriously,
find
yeah.
ever,
Who is getting rid of that? What's wrong with them?
right?
right.
I think their kid like fucked up. So,
I'll do
and
it.
I'm just like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Sorry for ya.
Oh my God, there's a
Yeah.
She-Ra TTRPG now too. Sign me up.
Mhm.
Where do I sign up for that one?
Mm.
I will run any of this stuff because it's just fun. Like
Yeah.
that's my whole thing. Like I don't like to take myself too seriously, and I like to give the players room to kind of like build stuff. But like Doug has played with me, and Luna has played with me, and there's stuff that's like built into the shit that I do that it'll trigger, and that's why I think like My Little Pony would be fun, and like doing it in Ravenloft or doing it in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
Taking them to Avernus. Like, taking ponies through hell.
Hell
Oh my God.
pony.
Hell ponies.
Oh gosh.
Anyone else enjoying Baldur's Gate 3, which now needs a My Little Pony mod?
Yeah.
I dipped my toe into it, and it was just a little buggy on my system, so I'm gonna hold, because like I just upgraded everything, and I think I just don't have the RAM for it right now, so I'm gonna wait till a few more optimization patches come on through, and then I'll dip back in. But
Yeah.
I've got Div 2 if I want that particular flavor.
My poor PC is just like, do I have 2? And I'm like, 4 more hours, you'll be fine.
Fair. Yeah, I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3. I stream it on occasion, but I've been kind of picking away at it, and yeah, I mean it's definitely buggy. It's definitely an early access game, but overall, like, you know, like you said, Chase, it's like Divinity Original Sin, if you need that flavor right now, it feels very similar. It's
Yeah,
like
I mean,
Divinity
it's
Original
same
Sin with
company.
5e rules.
Yeah, it's the exact same company. Like, I knew it was going to be good, and even the buggy, like, 3 hours that I played was still a fun 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like, it is just, like, it strikes me as, like, a very old school kind of D&D,
Mm-hmm.
just because
That's
of,
why
like,
I
you
like
know,
it.
exactly. It's like, it gets that old flavor in there. I know someday I will spend a lot of time with it and really, really love it. I'm glad I spent the money on it because it will allow that company to probably continue to develop that game for longer without going into like awful crunch
Yeah.
like Cyberpunk is going through right now.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, like at some point I'll get to play it and that'll be cool. And I will continue to play my very generic character that I made, Larian.
Larry.
Because
And-
they did put like me specifically on blast. Was like, hey, y'all are making like a bunch of like white dudes with brown hair. Why is that? It's like, because I'm a white dude with brown hair and I want to exist in a D&D
Yeah.
world.
I totally saw that as I was making my character. And I like looked at my character and I was like, Purple it is.
Look, my next character definitely going to be like a purple tiefling. But that for that first one, like I don't think I'm alone in saying that like my first character that I make in anything looks uncomfortably like me.
My first thought was I want to make all of my favorite tabletop characters. I was like, my bard is now a video game character, and I am happy.
Yeah.
That is always my second character for sure.
I usually try to go opposite of me, so everything I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
There you go.
nice.
That's a good idea.
That's fair.
Yeah.
The character I'm playing through Baldur's Gate right now is a half drow, which I've never done before.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that's been fun. But yeah.
I went Tiefling Warlock, I think, and I'm about ready to start another character, I think.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
All right, so I want to dive into the questions that we've been getting from chat because we've gotten a few really great ones already. So David
Awesome.
Tilstra would like to know if you could have any monster from the Monster Manual as a pet, what would you choose?
Ooh. Well, on From Afar, they have this character named Slawl, who's a mind flayer, and I really love him. Like, he's my favorite character, and I would really like to have him as a pet. Can I have him, like, from a particular podcast, or does it have to be a mind flayer, just generic?
I would say probably anyone from a podcast, but
All right, I'm taking him.
I'm just kidnapping him right now.
He's mine. Thank you. Love you, Slawl.
David says you can have Slawl if you want.
Thank you. We're getting
Um,
married.
I would have to go with a Kuatl, because they're like tiny little luck dragons, and I do love them. Also, because it is incredibly relevant to this question, I am going to take this very small opportunity to plug Zach and Griffin's Multiversal Pet Shop, which is a podcast on the Ghostlight Media Podcast Network, which answers this question on a fairly regular basis on which D&D and other TTRPG creatures would make good pets or good friends. It is a fantastic improv comedy show. Give it a whirl if this is a question that you find incredibly interesting.
I need this link. I will have to check this out. That's great.
Yeah.
I am leaning. Perhaps this one is a popular. I think this one's actually kind of a popular one, but I think it'd be cool to have a mimic and just train it, and then you can always have it with you because it's just like, hey, I can't have my bag here. Can you turn into like something else? Or my favorite monster is a fairy dragon. If I had enough, like a big enough place for it that it could pull its pranks and stuff, and not like be too big of a get people in trouble type of thing.
Love it.
I'd like to have a bugbear, honestly. Just a bugbear, man. Just like a big ass furry bugbear.
That's
And
because you're a
like,
big
we could have
grumpy bear.
adventures.
You're a bear, so
We
that's
would
why
have-
you want it.
We would have adventures though, like it would be like a buddy cop movie, and we would be like riding around in like a convertible, and he'd be a loose cannon, and I'd be trying to do the paperwork, and it would be great. It would be really, really fantastic.
So on the
And we could share
tail
clothes. It would be the best.
on the tail of that, mine kind of dovetails really nicely because just like Turner and Hooch, I want a Mastiff because in D&D they're big enough to ride.
It's true. They're huge.
That's real.
I mean, they're
And
huge. Yeah.
I'm little bitty. I mean, I'm a small person, so like I would ride a dog. I would ride I would ride a battle dog. I would. You can't tell me that I wouldn't.
Here comes Ray riding in on her war pony.
That's right. I would ride. You know, from was it the third Hobbit with the war pig that the dude rode in on the one dwarf rode in on the. That was my shit. And what's funny is before that movie happened, I had this running joke that I was like, I want a dwarf on a war pig. Like if if I have that delivered to me, I will be so loyal to this series. And I was my eyes, I cried. Like, I'm crying now talking about it because I loved it so much.
Amazing.
Oh my god, a warbore, a boar, if you will. Oh my gosh.
I
Chat, I
know
love you.
the Doug Bugbear movie though.
Yeah.
I want to watch Bugbear 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Nice.
Yeah.
Doug Bear?
Obviously.
Doug Bear.
Doug Bear.
What do you think, Doug Bear?
Yeah. Look. I will have you know, sir, if I have a bugbear, if I have a bugbear, he's going to talk. All right? He's not going to go, rah, rah, rah. He's going to be like, why, yes, I am a bugbear. Thank you for... Wait. Did you assume that I spoke funny because I'm a bugbear? Damn
I
you,
want
damn
to
you.
Wanies, sir.
Yeah, it would speak the King's English.
Right.
Like, it
He'll
would
wear a
be-
monocle and a top hat.
and a 3-piece suit. It would have a tweed
Come on now,
waistcoat.
he ain't putting on airs. Come on now.
Putting on hair.
I just want to shout out from chat. Braids Blades, good cop, bug cop.
I'm just picturing this bugbear is like an old Miss Professor now with like the tweed jacket and the bow tie.
Yeah.
Or it could go the other way.
Archaeologist,
Okay,
please.
hear me out. Hear me
Please,
out. Hear
please.
me out. Hear me out. It could go the other way, and he could be that guy that wears the Hawaiian shirt and a fedora.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then has a British accent, so you're like, what? I'm confused.
Exactly.
Or
So
I would
weird.
like it if he was just.
But he stops being British when he's drunk.
Oh, what if he start being?
Technically, they're in the monster manual. Can I have a dinosaur?
I mean, he said in the monster manual.
Yeah.
Oh no, a gift.
All change
I
our
want a
answers.
gift. Like Victorian sensibilities and
The
all.
hippo people?
Yes.
I mean, I support you.
Oh my god.
We can have a little play date for all of our little pets.
Oh my god.
See what happens.
Wow. That was a good question.
That was a
though.
good question.
Yes.
All right, so Relic from Know Your Role, aka Nick, hi Nick, would like to know if you could play one movie or series as a D&D campaign, which would it be?
Oh.
Wow.
And that like opens up so many things because like there's already the Star Wars set, there's already the Firefly one, there's already like so
I know. Is anyone familiar with the Abhorsen series or the Old Kingdom cycle by Garth Nix? I've always thought it would make a fantastic D&D campaign. It's set in a world where like there's a giant wall that's existed since who knows when. And on one side, magic exists and technology doesn't work, and on the other side, technology exists and magic doesn't work.
Oh, I've heard of
And
this.
That's
series follows
interesting.
a girl named Sabrielle, who is the Abhorsen, who's like an anti-necromancer, and is able to use necromancy to keep the dead down. And the like afterlife mythology that it builds up is fantastic. It's just such a good, underappreciated book series.
I have had that recommended to me multiple times. I just know the first novel is Sabrielle, and it has been sitting on sundry bookshelves of mine multiple times over the years, and it's just that I have just never gotten to it.
She has 9 bells that are each basically the afterlife in that series is the 9 rivers of death, and she has a bell relating to each one that has a different effect on undead.
Whoa.
And she has a talking cat named Mogget. Who's
I do
actually
love that.
a chaos god
My
bound
best
to
friend
it.
had a cat named Mogget. So, guess where that came from?
The second book is includes a character called the Disreputable Dog too. So if you're a dog person, also check it out.
There you go.
This is in the chat, but I would have said Stormlight Archives. David, taking my answer. We didn't ask you.
David, your time is coming, David.
That nut gets an inspiration for Full Metal Alchemist too. I agree with that. I'd also say Tales of Earthsea. Tales from Earthsea, rather.
So it's not. I'm kind of veering out of the question just a little bit, but I'm really big into League of Legends and Legends of Runeterra. And I was in a podcast that started this, and it was so fun. And like, there were just, we ended up folding it because there were just like too many obligations for one of the players, and which is totally understandable. But it was so fun. I would want to play in Runeterra, like the world that League of Legends exists in, because there's like, I'm gonna show you. I'm a nerd flex. Like, this is sitting here on my desk with like my player's handbook and everything. It's the League of Legends, the official lore compendium, and she's a thick one. Like, she's a thick girl, and it's just like, so there's so much to it, and like the different regions have their own lore, and there's like, you know, Noxus, which is like really aggressive, and they're based in war, and you know, you have just so many different things that you can do with it, and different races you can be, and like Demacia has some issues with racism. Like, there's just interesting, like, I was always from Ionia because that was like the druid, crunchy, like earthy kind of place. And there was through D&D Beyond, there was some stuff that was released about Bilgewater. There was a play guide, and if you like League of Legends, if you Google Legends of Runeterra, Bilgewater, D&D, there are people that archived it, and you can get the PDF of it that's like playable material. Some people have no idea what I'm talking about, and I'm real sorry. So just stay, because I'm cute and I paint nice things. But hold still for 30 seconds. You can play as like a character that's based off Misfortune, a character who's based off Nautilus, a character who's based off Twisted Fate. So I would love to see more of that and dive into that, because it's this whole world with multiple layers, and it's set up to be really DM friendly, because there's so much, like, just like with anything else, you can dig as deep into the lore as you want to, and I think that's what makes a really good campaign, is if you have a lot of basis to dig into a story, and you can go as shallow or as deep as you want to.
Does anyone have a video game they would add to this, or a video game, or
yes.
I do, actually. I would love to specifically add the Elder Scrolls into this.
Yeah.
I don't think there is like an official.
There is not.
Like, there's
a
not.
Card game. There's a card game.
There's a card game, but everything has a card game. League has a card game.
Don't you speak ill of Legends of Runeterra.
I would not.
Boo. No.
But no, like, I would love to play in an Elder Scrolls, like, set it like, you know, in and around Skyrim during the Skyrim times, because that's when I know it best. Even though like I have played through all of Oblivion and Morrowind, like, I know those too. But
Skyrim
like,
is the most fun. Don't play yourself.
Exactly.
Play yourself.
I'm not. But if we can expand outside of D&D, I would love to see a Powered by the Apocalypse of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, because that would be fun AF. Because Scott Pilgrim has a lot of like problematic baggage. I'm not going to deny that at all, but it is one of the most fun movies I have ever watched. And that, like, the world that they create in that 2.5 hour span is very interesting, and I kind of want to check it out a little bit more.
I love that. I love that. Because like the bad guys aren't all just defeated by strength, right? Like, that's and as like a GM, that's what makes my brain tingle. So I love that.
If you like that, I would highly recommend checking out. There's a game called Monster Hearts, which really plays. Monster Hearts is a lot of fun. My home group that we do not record anything at all has really latched onto it because it is a very CW drama. But instead of it being like teens and high schools, it is teens and high schools, but everybody's like a werewolf or a vampire or something. It's very good and very fun.
Hi,
and
Kevin.
and somehow like pulls a lot of like that similar energy that I also love from Scott Pilgrim.
We just finished I love PBTA games. We just finished a campaign of Masks on stream the other day.
Ooh,
And
Masks
I
was
made
lot
a
of
player
fun.
good cry, and I was so happy.
Aww.
Yeah, we had a campaign that I was not a part of wrap up in the home group that literally I think like out of the 8 players and GM, all of them were good crying by the end.
Aww.
I'm actually working on a short little PBTA game that I think would be one of the perfect current properties for a PBTA game.
Mhm.
The game will be called All Too Familiar, inspired by What We Do in the Shadows.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I have to address how Bonnie Jean was just punched by Kevin.
I'm dying. I am aspirating on my gin and tonic.
Oh my god.
Evil, I told you.
Oh my god, he got you with his pimp hand like that.
Literally every morning he comes into my bed and just like smacks my face.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, excuse me, sir? What is wrong with you? And then he'll just sit on my face. So there's just cat butthole on my face.
Are you like, sir, you do not pay the rent? You do not have thumbs?
Right?
I don't. Do you have pockets? Because I don't know where you keep all that audacity.
Do you have the bus ticket stub? Because I want to know where you get off.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. Okay, go continue.
We're a very
crying. That
we're a
was
very
so
cat
good.
friendly stream around here, so it's all good.
Let's just all stop and play Laser Kittens. That's
Oh gosh.
I will run Crash Pandas right now.
Right now.
We did a hack of Honey Heist that was cats called it was called
I was just
Hi
gonna
Hi Hope
talk
for the
about
Kitchen.
that.
I don't understand why I cannot have the chicken. It was great. My cat was the great grandson of a witch's familiar. And I basically
love it.
played Henri the existentialist cat from that old YouTube series.
I am here for this.
It was the most fun game I've ever played.
That's great.
That's
So, so before we jump into another question, this makes me think of just one that is relevant for now. Do you guys have like a tabletop game that you would recommend for people who are like stuck at home right now and can only play like in small group and stuff? Because like I think if we all play TTRPG, we like tabletop stuff. So I'm also saying this because I want recommendations for more tabletop games. So
All of them. All the TTRPGs.
no.
So actually
Even if it's not a TTRPG, like if it's just a good game, like I'm down. Lay it on your girl.
I have 2 answers. I have a couple answers for that. So TTRPG, this one ties into the video game that that you would like to play as a TTRPG system, because the system actually exists, and that is Dragon Age, and that one does have a system. It's a 3D6 system that I took it to PAX East and got all the devs to sign it for me. So so that was very fun. And they were pretty excited that I had that, because it's really hard to find now. But it's a great little system. So that answers both of my questions. Is if you like Dragon Age, there's a system out there for you. For like little card games or board games, there's a few. So I'm a single mom, so we tend to have a lot of games that you can play with just 2 people or more. Bees in chat is going magic. If you're anything like me, the rules of Magic are way too complicated, so you don't play Magic. But we have a couple of games. One is called Suro, which is a board game where it takes like 15 minutes to play through it, and a little longer if there's only 2 of you, but you can play with up to like 8 people. And basically you play these tiles down on the board that make a path for your little character. And basically the idea is to stay on the board the longest. If your path either runs you into another person or takes you off the board, then you lose. It sounds really basic, but the art for the game is just really pretty, and like the pieces are really pretty. So, and it has to do with dragons, so I'm sold. And then the game Anomia is a lot of fun. That's like a card game that you can play with, I think, up to with a minimum of 3. And then we're big fans of the game Sparkle Kitty here, which is another card game that you can play with up to 3.
What is that? That sounds amazing.
It's fantastic. So there's Sparkle Kitty, and then there's the adult version, which is Sparkle Kitty Knights, Knights.
Good.
And basically, what it is
Different direction.
yeah, you you have like a card that has like a princess on it, and basically the idea is you need to get your princess out of a tower, and the tower is made up of cards for the game. And so you play the cards similar to like how you would play Uno, so it has to match like a color or a word or a symbol that's on it, but you have to say the word, like the phrase that you have made. So there's 2 piles going at the same time that play right next to each other. And so like you may put down a card that says duck, and then the card next to it might say muddy, and you have to say like muddy duck, or you have to draw another card. And then basically like the whole thing is as you empty out your hand, you remove a card from your tower, and the first one to clear out the tower wins. So
Cool.
it sounds more convoluted than it is. Once you play it, it's actually it can get really hilarious. And so the one that is the adult version, you end up with things like, moist, insert your favorite noun here. Like, anything that could absolutely be taken in the wrong context, it's there.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
It's like, yeah. Did you play? Wait, what was the bad version of Apples to Apples?
Cards Against Humanity.
Cards Against Humanity. I haven't played that in forever.
I really recommend one I'm really enjoying right now is Zweihander from Andrews McNeil Publishing. It's a little grimdark, and you got to kind of be in the mood to play a game like that. I really like that one. I also really love Kids on Bikes, which is like the exact opposite.
I've been wanting to try Kids on Bikes for a rip. That looks a lot of fun.
Next time we run it, I will invite you. It is a fantastic, like sci-fi. You play kids in a small town type of game, but what makes it so fantastic is the game encourages you to do during session 0 to create the world together. So as a GM, I'm not building an entire world and you learn about it as you play. We all make it together. I go, player 1, tell me what the best restaurant in town is.
Oh, I love
that. Tell me this. And that way everyone starts fully invested in the world, and it's not, and I don't have to slowly piecemeal feed everyone information as the GM.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That is cool.
That's
Yeah.
really
That is
I like
nice.
that.
It's a really fun game, and can get off the rails real quick. Hyper RPG has a great stream of it that's on break right now for obvious reasons, called Kolak 1991, which is very like Twin Peaks inspired.
Ooh, that was when I was born. Has anybody ever played Folklore before?
Yeah.
Haven't played it,
No.
but familiar.
It's really complicated and kind of confusing to figure out, but then for fun. I just started playing with friends, and it's just, I don't really even know how to explain it because it's super complicated, but I like how many articles, like you have little coins and you have to move around, and it's really nice.
Very cool. As far as Zweihander goes, they just had a Kickstarter finish for a new game using the same engine called Flames of Freedom, which is going to be set in during the American Revolution using the Zweihander system, and take that kind of like weird history, like supernatural stuff happening in the background take. But they've also been very careful to deal with the problematic things that could come up with playing during the American Revolution. I'm really looking forward to trying it. They have the rules out as like a short PDF right now. But I will be making a Hamilton character because I have no
Oh my God.
theater kid.
Are you going to sing?
I am not gonna say I won't. Yes,
Can you sing for us now?
I don't want to get shared experiences and trouble.
Thank you.
I was trying to be like, I'm not throwing. No, never mind.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh.
She said she was having
Goodbye.
internet trouble. Would be right back, I think.
Okie doke.
That is so funny. Well, I do really want to hear you sing at tonight, so
Oh,
just
no.
prepare a song.
Just make one up on your own.
Yeah.
So while we're waiting, I will kind of dip back into one of my recommendations, Monster Hearts, which I already mentioned. Oh, here we go. Maybe.
Oh. Oh.
Maybe.
I should be back. I'm coming back.
I believe you.
We hear you.
My internet is controlled by birds and badgers.
That's internet.
Well, yeah, as I said earlier, Monster Hearts 10 out of 10. As long as you are not playing with anybody you were related to, because Monster Hearts, by its nature,
AF.
it is so horny. Oh my god.
Yeah.
No.
Every-
You're playing with your dad.
Yeah,
every
no, that is.
character- Oh, sorry. One of the staple mechanics is that every character has a sex move.
No.
Thing that they can do
Yes.
when they get laid.
Yeah,
I
in my home game, I am currently playing a one of the, and each character has staple backstories that you can choose from either. So I'm a Tumblr witch. I
Okay.
want to be a witch from Tumblr.
You're a what?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
a
no.
Tumblr. Yeah.
No,
oh
no,
yes.
no.
My favorite is the Fae,
Mhm.
which can extract promises from people. Random Tuesday did a great stream of this on Roll For It.
Mhm.
And the Fae can make people promise them things, and if you break it, bad things start happening to you. They can
I
when you go
love
to
and
open that
hate
door,
that.
just slip.
Yeah, it is, and that is a very, very that. The game writes itself in a lot of ways, because I haven't
Mhm.
run it myself yet, but I know several fellow GMs from the Ghostlight Media Network of podcasts have run it, and they all tell me the exact same thing. You don't write this game before you sit down. You write the first day, and that's it. Because the rest of the game writes itself while you're playing it. You don't know what they're going to do, because everybody's playing a bunch of teenagers. And teenagers are just gonna do whatever they want to do.
There's hormones running around.
Exactly.
I love it.
And
I
it's
love it.
Very cool. It's very fun. For a not TTRPG game, I would highly, highly, highly recommend the hidden role game Coup.
Oh, I have that.
Coup
I
is
did
so
a
fun.
Yes. Oh, it's like a fist fight in a box, though.
It is. It absolutely is. So the idea is that you, it comes with a deck of cards that has 6 or 7 rolls in it. And you deal 2 cards out to everybody that's playing, and a card that shows what each card can do. You can do anything off of the list of 6 or 7 rolls, but if you play if you make a move that you can't do without one of the cards in your hand, somebody can call you out on it. And if you don't have that card in your hand to show them, you lose that card. If you lose both of your
Ooh.
cards, you are gone.
That's fun. That's like bullshit, kinda.
Exactly. It's a lot
Yeah,
like
a little bit, yeah.
bullshit. Yeah, bullshit and werewolf kind of rolled together.
Love that.
There is a very good, actually, for both of these games, if you want to see a really good Monster Hearts game. I don't usually recommend them because they're not normally my style, but Critical Role has a really good Monster Hearts one-shot. That is a lot of fun to watch. It's got Ali from College Humor on there, and they are just absolutely fantastic. And if you want to see Coup being played, there is a very good Overboard from Polygon, where they play it, and it's got Brennan Lee Mulligan, who is also a fantastic individual.
And he's so cute.
Random Tuesday also did a great Monster Hearts stream with the Roll For It crew before she left that channel for the new job at Wizards. But they did a fantastic one, and that one really shows how that game can go off the rails
Oh
within a couple sessions and
Easily.
just devolve into pure chaos. I would recommend one other game since we were talking about music. And this is one I desperately want to play, but I'm having trouble finding players for right now because it makes them nervous, which is Swords Fall Summit of Kings. This game has been high on my list for a long time. You need to look at this book. The art is stellar. The game is set in Tycor, which the writer Brandon Dixon describes as Black Panther meets Game of Thrones. It is like an
Oh.
Afro-futurist utopia world.
So
Ooh.
I'm here.
And the book is coming out. He's releasing the supplements before the core rule book to a certain extent. So, like, this book has one class in it, the Jalen, which is a musician and like a town like mentor and leader that uses music. And once a year, the Jalens all get together in an area called Boogie Cove to see who's the best Jalen of them all in a musical competition. And the game uses rat battle mechanics, and you perform against one another to see who is the king of the Jalens for the year. And the NPCs are heavily based off real-world rappers, and it is just awesome.
That's amazing.
So
There's-
I will
Yeah.
throw a bone to everyone who's saying Magic, because I have been a Magic the Gathering player since 2001. That's like turpentine on my tongue to say that. So like it's like 8th grade. So I play a lot of Magic. I like Magic the Gathering. I play a lot of Legends of Runeterra. But for my own like piece into this, has anyone played the Red Dragon Inn?
Yeah.
So it's like D&D meets drinking game, and like you have this scale, and like if your constitution and your drunkenness cross, you pass out. So like, and there's pre-gen like cards that you pick who you're gonna play, and they're just wild. There's a bunny, like there's just these wild characters you can play, and it's a lot of fun if you want to play kind of a sideways TTRPG.
Wait, what's it called again?
The Red Dragon Inn, and there's a bunch of expansions of it, and you can actually get it a lot of times used at local game stores, and you can get it on Amazon, you can get it on eBay. It's a lot of fun. I really recommend it, especially if you yourself are also drinking while you play it, of legal age, of course, but it makes it very fun. And then my non-TTRPG one is called Ravine, which it was the Kickstarter game, but now you can just buy it, and it's kind of like Lost. You are survivors of a plane crash, and you have to work together to like survive. So you get like, you can go forage, you can hunt for food, and you like roll on your success and stuff. And then there's ghosts that can like of dead passengers that can like come and haunt you, and that's fun. And then there's this game called Mysterium. Has anyone played that?
I've heard of it.
I love Mysterium. It is beautiful. And the way that it works is nobody talks. So like you are a medium, and you are supposed to be figuring out how the DM is a ghost, and they have these cards of dreams, and they are giving you hints in these dream cards, but nobody speaks.
Ooh, that's so cool.
And then you have like 3 or 4 cards, like clue style, out in front of you of who the suspects are, and you have to use these dream cards to figure out the clues, and then figure out like who the murderer is. It's a beautiful game. It's
Huh.
I do agree with Staghorn. I like it, but it does give me like that test anxiety feeling.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I just saw that in chat.
Yeah. Did anyone else get like a huge glut of games off of all the charity bundles this past year?
Yes.
I bought into several of those. The bundles for racial equality on drive-through were particularly
Yep.
like, I was like, I'm giving that money, and now I have 75 games to try.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I've got the bundle from Itch.
Yep,
and
I got that one.
I spent
That-
2 evenings organizing those into what kind of game they are, and so if I ever am in the mood for something, I can just like check it out.
You're a better person than I, as I gave up. Like, I just went through and found like the 30, 40 things that I wanted the most, and the rest I was like, this is 23 pages of games.
Yeah.
There was a really great website I found right like around that time. I'm not sure if it's up. I don't even know if I could still find it again. But it like will categorize like, hey, if you bought this bundle, tell us what you're in the mood for, and we'll tell you what you should play based on that.
that's
based
cool.
on the games you
Ooh.
own. Yeah.
That's
cool.
brilliant.
But I don't know what happened to that website. So
There was a
but it's out
website
there.
like that for Netflix, where like you put in what you're in the mood for, and then the person you're with puts in what they're in the mood for, and then they find you something in the middle.
Oh, that's
Nice.
neat.
Yeah.
There's a game I have that I really want to try, but I haven't had a chance yet. It was from one of those bundles called Spell, the RPG. Like Spell: the RPG. And it's a 2d6 game. Everyone plays a mage, and it's the idea of magic for it is that you as a mage understand the inherent language of the universe, and you can speak things into being. You roll 2d6, and then you draw that many Scrabble tiles out of a bag of Scrabble tiles, and whatever you spell is what your magic does. So if I draw tiles and spell fire, then I do something with fire.
Cool.
And it's like Scribblenauts as a game.
Okay, I'm here
Oh
for
my
it.
god, that's awesome. I
I
love
thought
it.
it was
Yeah.
really creative.
I
Can-
played an expansion of 5e that anyone who had spells had to change one letter in each spell.
Oh.
So like it was so like healing word, instead of healing word you would make it like healing wood, and you would be able to like mend a bridge, right?
Excellent.
It was actually really hard.
I
Like,
bet.
you had to think about it.
That's a fun
like-
one, though.
Yeah,
Deep metal.
what you said about the speaking things into being made me think of that, because like we had to think of like changing one letter, and that was super hard.
Now I'm just trying to think of
Brave
spells.
Blade
dude.
just said healing worm.
Magic misled.
Oh.
Healing worm.
Power
Feather
word
fail.
till, and just, like, take care of a farmer's work for the day. Power word till.
There we go. There it is.
Amazing.
Power word krill. Oh my gosh. Chat, I love you. All right. Well, we are at probably
I
a
mean,
good place.
you could become a bank mogul, use lending instead of mending.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
That's
Also,
it.
Manic Missile.
Manic Missile.
I love that worm. You stay up really late and do a lot of things.
Be a really good. Could be a really good doctor. Power word pill.
Ooh, yes.
All right. Well, this is probably a great time for us to pause and take a break. So I'm going to do that while chat continues to come up with fun new
Divine
spells.
You're welcome. Ray loves you. Just remember that.
It's
they're
all
great.
good. It's all fun and games. So, chat, if you would like to come up with some fun spells during the break, please feel free to do that. Don't forget to enter the giveaway if you haven't yet for Ray's very awesome Storm Giant miniature Storm Giant. I don't really know what the correct way to say that is because it's not mini. So it's a mini, but it's not mini.
No, it is quite large.
It is
Small
quite
Goliath.
large. And so exclamation point ticket if you haven't had the chance to do that. And we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in like 5 or so minutes so we can all stretch our legs and all that good stuff. Hashtag free the pee. And we will see you when we get back. And we are back. Oh, and so is one of the dogs.
Which one is that? Are they both there? Can I see the corgi?
Hi, puppers.
Oh my goodness.
That's the
All
puppos.
right.
Like
Puppy
every
dogs.
person who knows me is like, if you would be a dog, you'd be a corgi. So I'm kind of fangirling right now. Like,
Oh
Their
my
little
gosh.
butts are so cute.
Bradesblade just goes, that's Kevin barking, just messing with us.
He is
I would-
chaotic evil.
It's
You
true.
wouldn't be
Exactly.
surprised.
Evil.
All right. Well, we are back. I hope everybody had a good break. And we're going to dive right in with a question that came to us from Shannon over at Paradise RPG. She said this came up on the Tim and Shannon Power Hour, and she wanted to pose the question here as well. The question is, what cues do you look for? Hold on. Okay. Sorry. What cues do you look for when looking to either engage another party member or when to jump into a scene?
I'll jump in on that one.
Yeah.
That's a good one to start with.
It is.
So when we record Go Better Quest, we record our audio separately, but we play the game using Skype, and we're there kind of with each other on that in that medium.
Mhm.
And in a recording session, like, all of us are giving feedback pretty much in the moment for everybody when they're talking. So like if David's laying down like some really cool story stuff, like all of us are just all quiet, like, just keep going. But as far as like cutting in a conversation sort of situation, I mean, if you're making eye contact with the people you're playing with, like I come from an improv background, and a lot of y'all do too, I know. And so does David. And really for me, it's all about like making eye contact with the folks as much as you can over camera, really paying attention to their faces, really paying attention to their body language, and letting your own body language and facial expressions like broadcast what you want to do next. So like if it's like sometimes Nolan will sometimes Yardy will do a little speech before he does some major actions, and he gets all like harumphy about it. And so like when we're recording and it's that time, like I just know, I can see it in his face. Nolan's about to do some harumphy Yardy stuff, and so like you just get to know your people, keep looking at them in the face, and I'm gonna quit talking now.
Jumping off of that, I think, all incredible points. That's exactly how, we do it on Another Path as well. You gotta, playing with cameras on is obviously, especially in this day and age, not required, but certainly is incredibly helpful. But the other big thing that I like to point out to new players is make sure whatever you are adding to the scene is additive to that player and that character. You do not want to be a scene stealer. If you are jumping in on somebody else's scene, make sure you whatever you are doing is highlighting that other character, or at the very least, bringing both of you up. Nobody likes having their scene stolen. It's happened to everyone that has ever played TTRPGs for any length of time. Even veteran players are, I am not above accidentally jumping in and making a scene that isn't about me when I'm playing. Everybody does it. It's a bad habit that a lot of people need to break out of. But when you realize it, like, that's 80% of the battle right there, is just knowing what to watch out for, knowing if you're going to make something better for somebody else. Absolutely, by all means, jump in, do it. But make sure it's going to make that character and that scene better for them. Because it's not about you, it's about them.
I like
I
all
think-
of that.
Oh, go ahead.
Right on.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna real quick say I try to ask every once in a while when appropriate. Like if I feel like things have come to a natural stopping point, I'll say, "This would be a point where someone might walk in. Does anyone want to?" Or something like that.
For sure.
I generally act as the person that moves the story along. I don't know why it ends up being that way, but I tend to be the person that when we get stuck in 20 minutes of like planning shit out, like I'm the person that tends to move stuff along. But what I will say is, like, thinking of your character and thinking of whether it's appropriate for your character or not to jump into a situation can help a lot as well. I played in a game where we were on a pirate ship, and like my character, for the reason why she was there, would have just been brooding and quiet. So I was brooding and quiet. And at the very end of the scene, to wrap everything up, she cast bonfire in the middle of the deck and like basically like flipped them off and like Varishnikov down a rope. So it was like a very nice way to wrap it, but at the same time it was appropriate, and everyone else had these like nice long like monologue-y type moments where they did a lot of character exposition and stuff like that. So just like, I think checking where your character is coming from and not worrying about like you as an individual getting spotlight can make a lot of difference. Because like me as Ray, like I have nothing to give to a campaign. Like me as Ray as an individual has nothing to give to a campaign. It's either my character or me DMing. And if it's not going to, as you said, like add to the situation, then you just sit tight and your time will come later. Mm-hmm. Because chances are, like, how many people here DM or have DM'd before? Right. So you have stuff planned in for people, right? Like you have like exposition points planned for people. So it's not like the entire game someone's going to go unnoticed. They're going to have their moment if it's not right now. I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry.
I loved it.
I tend to
one other
mention. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, man, that's all right. It's all right. We are doing exactly what we said we're not supposed to do. Like, we are not watching each other and not paying attention. That's, we're just jumping all over each other. That's the problem, man. All right, so I'm gonna be quick. One thing, in improv, one of the things that we always said to each other, like before, like going into a performance, if you make the other person on stage look good, then you're gonna look fine. Like, always try to make the other person look good. Give them an opportunity to be the hero. Give them the opportunity to be the badass. Give them the opportunity to be, like, the wise person in the room. And if you can support that, they're going to give that back to you eventually. Like, it's as a player, if you can't enjoy making your other people look good, you should not be in that game. And so, like, it should be a joy for you as a player to play your character in such a way that the other characters in your party, and thereby the other actors in your group or the other players in your group, look amazing. And you got to trust that they're going to take care of you for that.
Yeah, the classic yes and too. It's really important.
Yep.
There's nothing worse than trying to start something and somebody just completely shuts you down. You're like, awesome, thank you.
I know. So thank you for the block.
Can I ask the group in general, because I have played in 3 separate campaigns that had people who were on the spectrum. Like,
oh, interesting.
So like when we did that, I had to have conversations with the players outside of the game to be like, hey, like, because one of the things that they have issues with is spontaneity, and you'll run into them either with my experience, I can't speak as a whole. With my experience, they either dominated the campaign because they were like, oh, like, I'm the one who knows the answer, or they kind of fell into like a cliche. Have any of you played with players like that? And like, you know, what was your experience, and did you find a tasteful way out of it?
I have not played. I have played with a couple players who are on the spectrum, though I tend to end up playing with a lot of new people and a lot of young people. And just recently, I've been running Saltmarsh at a new local game store. They asked me to come in on Wednesdays and help them out with some games. So I said, cool, I'll come in, and I've been wanting to run Saltmarsh anyways. And there's this one young lady who comes to the table fairly on the regular. Her older sister brings her with her. And she very much wants to be to have a moment, and doesn't want to wait for that moment. And she made a bard, needless to say. And she asked, "Can I buy a bell?" And when they were in town, I was like, "Yeah." And so after that, it was like, I'm ringing my bell all the time. And I was like, "Can we talk after the game?" And I just kind of pulled her to the side, and I said, and I kind of explained to her, like, we're here to be a group, and we all want to make each other look good. When someone else was doing a thing, and you said, I want to ring my bell, it took away from that other person being able to feel like a hero too. And we want everyone to feel like a hero. So maybe save that for moments when that works. And when you have a moment, do that. Other times, enjoy seeing your friends be heroes too.
Yeah.
And everyone's brought up theater a lot. Along
How
with
did
being an actor, she listened and sometimes needs a reminder still.
Yeah.
But she's like 12, I think. So of course she needs a reminder.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
And I'm just happy to. And I've had also on the other end of that, people being a little too mean about it, like because they get frustrated, and I understand.
Of
But I have,
course.
it's very much been a thing of me having to say sometimes, let me handle it,
Right.
or something like that.
Yeah.
It kind of comes from people have brought up theater quite a bit. I've done the acting and directing thing, but I've also done like light design, and kind of the key ethos of that is I look good when you look good, and that kind of comes into play a lot.
For sure.
I love that.
I think, like, for me, what I took away from my experience of dealing with players like that was twofold. One was that we talked on the side and we came up with, like, a little catchphrase that I could use when it was getting too much.
Smart.
And nobody else knew what it was. Nobody else, like, they just thought it was something that the character said or in a DM role, an NPC said, but it was very subtle and very direct for that person, and they were like, okay, and they would back off. The second thing, which is a little meaner but sometimes appropriate, is actions have consequences. So Doug and Luna have played with me as a DM, and there were a couple people in a game that we were playing that were pushing on a point, pushing on a point, pushing on a point, and then they touched the stove and they found out the stove was hot. So sometimes as a DM or a GM, and even as a PC, you have to teach people that actions have consequences. So like ringing the bell is a good like thing that it's like, okay, in this situation, maybe the town's guard comes, or like maybe your position is given away. You know, like you kind of blow it for people here, and it not being something that's a be all end all, but like teaching them that like there's a time and a place, and there's a gentle way to do that. And I do believe in that, like letting people learn things in their own space, and I do believe, which everyone here has said so far, talking to them outside first and letting them know like, hey, this is an issue. But if you're gonna come in dick swinging, like, you may be big and bad, but I'm meaner. So like that's...
I had a similar one to that where a player recently wanted to like throw their familiar things and just to watch it be a problem. And so at one point, I did kind of similar.
Come again. Throw their familiar?
Yeah, my bird attacks them. And I was like, then she's like, I call my familiar at one point, and I was like, they don't show up. You need to, like, you kind of lost their trust. You need to recast the spell set later.
Good
Love
for
it.
you.
Yeah.
Good for you. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Just that little thing where like, oh, now I have to take a moment, and I didn't get to do the thing I didn't get to do.
And don't you think it realigns them a little bit to be like, oh, this didn't work. Like, now this trope that I'm relying on, I have to think of something else.
Yeah.
It's the same
It's
idea.
a tough position to be in, because you really want the table to be a safe space for everyone. But it's hard if somebody's taking over, and then, yeah, you also don't want to make that person that's taking over feel like they aren't welcome at the table, or it's not a safe space for them anymore. That's really complicated, but it sounds like you guys found some ways to deal with it. Also, Kevin learned how to turn a light on, apparently. So
that's neat.
That's the chaotic part.
Kevin is chaotic evil, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
When did Kevin get first level spells?
He leveled up today when you weren't looking.
It was the
Kevin
full
have
moon.
mage hand? Is that happen? Who gave the cat mage hand?
Take it away!
Oh, Staghorn? Kevin already can open doors. He already knows. Just
Clever girl.
Oh god.
it's creepy.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, sorry, I threw that off track, but
Oh,
you
you're-
guys seem to be handling that really well, and I respect it.
Ray, you mentioned
Bonnie,
something.
you're such a good hype man, and I'm so happy you're here.
Right?
You're,
Bonnie's
you're
so fun.
lovely.
She is.
You're lovely.
I'm just here to be like, you're a great DM.
It's fantastic.
Every party needs a bard. Ray, you mentioned something earlier that kind of caught my attention. You mentioned that a lot of times you end up being kind of the face for the group.
Mhm.
I run
Yeah.
into that a lot because I went to school for theater and I teach and I like talking and
Just real quick, who here is a teacher or has a theater minor or major? Or yeah, shocking, shocking.
I was
I'm
in a
sorry.
theater fraternity, and I have taught D&D.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Continue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
But-
step on your toes.
but I've definitely run into that as well. And does it ever give you like I always have this passive like I constantly feel the need to because other people are like you talk and I'm like no did you want to say something? I'm sorry I didn't mean to talk. I feel like I've said so much.
Mm.
So clearly, I feel that way here. Like, I'm a talker. And, like, Luna knows me, Doug knows me. I'm just a very, like, talkable, affable person. And I've started to play, like, I play men a lot of times, too. I don't play just
too.
women. But I tend to play the kind of, like, air of unapproachability individual who's not
Mhm.
necessarily the friendliest
Mhm.
because it gives me an opportunity that when other people are actually doing the thing, I can sit back and I can let them go. Because I don't know about you, but like I get exhausted. Like if I'm the one who's constantly pushing the narrative and constantly being the face of the group, it's really tiring. So
Mhm.
when they jump into it, I like to sit back and I like
Mhm.
to do nothing. And if I play someone who's more aloof, it makes sense to do that.
Yeah.
But then it also does give me an opportunity that if they're, you know, if they're messing around, I can be like, okay, like the last campaign that I played in, I played this absolute bitch of an elf that I loved. She was my soulmate. Her name was Laurel, and she was amazing. And she would just say the stuff that nobody was thinking, that like everybody was thinking, but nobody would say. She, like there was Grogmak, who was this half orc that she just did not like, and she threatened to skin him at multiple times. So like I have found that playing that like aloof character makes it easier on me because let's be honest, we are the people that we are, and we're always going to play the type of character that we like to play, that we're most comfortable with. So it's, you're gonna shine how you're gonna shine, and people are gonna figure out that you're the person that can push narrative. So how can you do that in a way that's just not exhausting the entire time? Because
Yeah.
if you're a lawful good Boy Scout, they're just gonna keep putting it on your shoulders, and it's going to be such a drag. And then it's exactly what you said, where you're like, am I talking too much? Am I talking over people? And I'm gonna stop talking now because I feel like I'm talking too much.
I love what you're saying.
I actually want to move on to some other questions. Bonnie,
yeah,
if you
go
want
for
to,
it.
well, I was going to say if you have a final thought that you want to throw in, go ahead.
Oh no,
but-
I was just gonna say that I usually play very large men who are pretty quiet because it's the opposite
I love
of me,
that.
and
I think
very
that's
grumpy.
My last character was just David Bowie.
Oh, amazing! I love that.
Played a changeling Fey Bard, and it was great because I basically did Midsummer Night's Dream. I played the changeling as an adult.
Beautiful.
Oh, that
great.
is so fun. I love
I
it.
love that.
It was the best character I've ever played, and I let it all out in that one because everyone playing in that game were actors and stuff, and I was like, oh, you all want to tell a story, so I can go nuts.
Casey, that's so good. I love that.
That's awesome.
That is really fun. Also, I spy Goovy in the chat, which means he's gonna ask us something
Right? I know.
Ask
this
all the
morning. Okay.
Oh, thanks, Staghorn. Hi, we're highlighting this message to get in contact with you about your car's limited warranty.
No,
Click. So I'm gonna flip the order of these questions because we got a couple in that are related to each other, so I want to ask them together. So I'm gonna ask this one first. Lot Evenstar, who's hanging out in chat, he posed the question: have you ever had an RP moment that flipped your emotional state and hit real hard? And if so, what and why?
Okay, get in there.
Right?
Can I go first?
Go for it.
Yes.
Okay. So Doug knows that, again, like Doug and I are good friends in like real life, and we just had this conversation because like I kind of have a crush on Dirac. And like I had to explain that to him, and I'm like, I'm sorry. So I played in another game with this orc named Grogmak. Grogmak and I did not like each other, like not even a little bit. And he was the type of person that stole the scenes and he would step on people. It got to the point where the party, and it was a big party, it was like 10 people. We all went looking for an apothecary and we got these darts that we could dart him and he would go silent for 10 hours. So like it was like a thing. So the campaign goes on for a couple of months and he kind of settles down and it's whatever. And we get to the point where we're all hitting like level 15. So things are getting serious. People are leveling up. And he finds out that his wife is pregnant. And he's like having to guess or having to choose between staying with the adventuring party or going home. And I was the only one in our party that had locate creature. So I found him and I was a druid and he was on a roof and I spider climbed up and we had this beautiful moment. And it was with Laurel, who was like tough and no nonsense, and the whole reason she was in this adventuring party to begin with is because she was saving her stupid younger brother who had signed his life away, and like she had that type of accent. She was very no nonsense, but they had this beautiful moment, and like he decided he wanted to go home and he was real broke up about it and he was illiterate. So she wrote all of his goodbye letters for him and then she cast Tree Stride for him so he could go home. And it was this like I was done after that. Like I'm like, guys, I can't. Like I can't.
Yeah.
Like I was wrecked because it was this person that I had threatened to skin at various points, and like we had this really genuine, beautiful moment that wrecked me in real life. And it was just so, it was one of those moments where you're like, okay, like this is, and I think some people, they don't play the game to feel those things, but I think that's what makes the game the most like universal, because you should find humanity in someone that you're playing. And if you're not, like, I'm sorry, you're a monster. But as a DM even,
no
like
judgment.
as a DM even, like playing big bad evil guys, I have found moments of humanity in them. And I'm done stealing the stage. I want to hear everybody else's answer.
At the beginning of season 2 of Go Better Quest, so David and I played improv together for like over like a decade, and he always surprises me when he comes into a scene. I've always loved playing with him for that regard, for that reason. We came into season 2 and he's like, look, Doug, I'm gonna bring something a little serious, and we talked a little bit about kind of what the direction I wanted to take my character and everything. But I thought, okay, this is opening scene. We're just gonna do some light stuff. David brought some serious drama in the beginning lines and the beginning actions of season 2 that I was not ready for at the very beginning. But because I trust my DM, because I trust David, Staghorn, I love you, buddy. He is a really fantastic scene partner. And so I knew from the get, I was like, okay, he's taking this someplace. I'm going to get on board. And you just match the tone and go with it. And by the end of that first opening scene, like, my character had grown and Doug had tears in his eyes. It was like it was in a significant moment where the DM brought something that I wasn't expecting, but I like matched his tone and found that place, and that's something that I think is really important to find together.
I might have. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
For me, it tends to be the little things. Like I love the drama stuff, and it happens quite a bit. But every once in a while, there'll be that little detail. I mentioned my changeling
Yes.
bard. I played him as his warlock patron was his mom. He was raised by the Fae Court, and I played him as because I've definitely talked about imposter syndrome quite a bit. He had it. He didn't feel like he belonged with the Fae. Like they were so amazing, and he was just immortal. She ended up getting kidnapped, and we had this whole thing where we stole a pirate ship and ended up having to. The big like boss fight that we were gonna have to go on break for a while, and the GM just like randomly mentioned that Titania, who we had saved, had soot on her hands from helping load cannonballs to save Jack. And I was just like, and he just said something to the effect of, and you can't help but notice the queen dirtied her hands to save her son.
Oh,
Oh,
And I was
chills! Look at them, chills.
And it's little things. Like, we could have had a big dramatic moment, but it's like, no, that sentence, that was the thing.
Ugh.
So I had a moment like that in another campaign where there was a character that we kind of butted heads because we were both kind of acting like leaders, and he was in front of someone that he wanted to impress, and he was a mess because we had just fought this monster and he was covered in like goo and gross stuff, and like my character used thaumaturgy and cleaned him up and was like, go get him, buddy. So I know exactly what you're talking about. It's just those, and it was a little like 15-second thing, but afterwards that person messaged me and they were like, I'm not crying, you're crying. So like, I love that stuff too. I'm glad you brought that up. I love that stuff.
I love giving that to players. When we did that Masks campaign, one of my players really wanted to do a thing with like my parents don't know I'm a superhero. And she hit her moment of one of the functions of that game is moment of truth, and her moment of truth was that everyone that she loses her mask in a significant moment.
Oof.
And we were describing it as like everyone was seeing these fights, and because of some supernatural thing happening with cameras, and she sees in a crowd far off on one of these TV screens her dad's saying "go," and she was like, and it was just my favorite thing. I was like,
Aw.
You need to stop with these chills you're giving me.
I'm tearing up. Like, if I go silent for a while, it's because I'm legitimately crying.
Aw.
So,
Emotional terrorist. Don't let him fool you.
that was my
is that your wife?
yes.
Get it,
Hello?
girl. Get it, girl. I love her.
I love her too.
I had an experience where I had to walk away from a campaign just because of scheduling issues and life and things like that, which is devastating in and of itself. But it was something that, like, it didn't happen on camera. We had sort of this behind the scenes RP channel in the Discord that sort of allowed us to like process through some stuff or discuss realizations that may have come out during the campaign but still be able to do it in character. And so the campaign, when my character left, it wasn't D&D, it was a crossover between two other systems. And so my character was a werewolf, and she was equipped with like a gun that she pretty much never used. And so one of the other characters in the course of one of the fights had lost their weapon. Their weapon got, I don't remember exactly what happened, it broke or something happened to it anyway. And so when she left, she just packed her stuff and was ready to go. But she left her gun on the table in one of the bedrooms of this other character with a note that just said, thought this would tie you over until you could get a better weapon, see you when I see you, and then just left. So it didn't happen on scene, but like when I was done, I was like, "Oh my god! Like, what did I just do?" And it was really
so touching, Luna.
It was so
touching.
And leaving the campaign was really heartbreaking for me anyway. But it was just time. Like there was just so much happening in my life at that point, and I knew that I wasn't going to give it my all. But it was one of those things that I was like, this is the only way that this character would leave, and it's the only way that makes sense. So. She's not one for goodbye. She wasn't touchy-feely with the group. She pretty much hated the world. So, yeah, it was one of those things that like I felt that for days. I still feel that. So,
Yeah, it is hard for me to talk about anything that happens in Another Path without it being like major spoiler central. I will say there is one character who I am, over the course of the run of that show, I have regularly been both of his parents. And almost any time I embody his parents, it eventually devolves into me feeling incredibly either maternal or paternal feelings for this character. And it's like, oh, and I am like regularly told by listeners like those are some of my favorite scenes. It's like, yeah, I know, I feel it after. But for something that I can't spoil because it doesn't exist recorded anywhere. Actually, it does involve one of my players. We had a long-running campaign with our home group. I think it ended up spanning about 3 years, playing roughly 2 of us played the same characters for the entire run of the 3 years, and a couple other people bounced in and out or played different characters over the course of it. But by the end of it, we had used the Strongholds and Followers rules from Matt Colville's company, where we had built a stronghold in the middle of the country, and we had our own civilians and castle that we had built, and we took like a month and designed the castle as a group, and this was our home.
Yeah.
This was our home. And we had an attack, and people died.
oh.
And my character like stayed up all night, and like we had prisoners, and we had to do something with them. And we didn't have, of all the things we built, we never thought to build a prison. So something had to be done. And so my character, I had played like a foreign prince who had, gained notoriety and fame in this land of his own accord without help from back home. And he had figured out, it's like, okay, this is the most fair way to, like, we're gonna have to kill some people. And my friend Zach, who was playing somebody who hadn't, like, as a matter of course, like, he had moved away before we had started building. He moved back after this place was built, like, as a person, and was playing a new character. And he was coming at me with, like, all these different ideas, and just in character, just, this isn't your fight. And then we got into an in-person screaming match across a table. Like, we were legitimately yelling at each other, and everybody was like, are you guys okay? And we're like, oh no, this is cool. This is so great. Let us fight this out. And we had, like, an intense, like, real screaming match, which was broken apart by one of the children that lived at the castle, who is effectively the heir to the throne of this little duchy that we had made. But it was so intense because we felt it, and it needed to be done. But, like, I give myself chills thinking about it. And it's one of those things where it's like, and it kind of goes back to what Doug was talking about. When you know your scene partners, when you trust your scene partners, because Zach and I, like, even while he was apart, he is one of my co-stars on Another Path. He is one of my players. And he and I know each other. We know how we move. We know what we need to do. And we know that we can trust each other, that whatever we put down on the table is going to stay on the table. And that is so important for having those emotional moments that and you trust the people you're playing with, that they're, one, not going to take it personally, and two, you're not going to cross a line with them. Because it's as much on you as it is on them.
Hear, hear.
You're here. Cheers to that.
That was solid. Yeah.
Thank you.
One thing, like, let's not be afraid to find, like, the real tender, good stuff in comedy as well.
Yeah.
So, like, in an upcoming episode, there's a moment where Yardi gets very upset at this other character, at an NPC character, and his response is very, like, over the top, very comical, very large, and very, like, silly. But the content of what he's saying is so solid and so earnest and so fucking real. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, like, there, but he's being blah, 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 blah. And I think it's important that we find the truth in the comedy, because comedy exists in the truth, right? And so like we can find these deep moments, we can find these deep, intense, intimate, emotional moments in some shit that's really funny too.
Oh,
So like I feel like, you know, we should always be looking for ways to hit those points, to hit those like story beats and everything, and to not be afraid to say something really serious inside of a comedic moment. You know, I think that's solid.
Something that does that really well, and of course I go off on a Tolkien tangent at least once every stream, is
As demanded.
Love ya.
my
God,
favorite characters are Merry and Pippin and Sam from Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings, and they are the ones who
Mhm.
bring this like light heart every once in a while into those really dark
Yeah.
moments. And the films do a great job of using these concerning hobbits piece of music at really key moments of just bringing back that humanity into a really dark situation.
Mm-hmm.
Casey,
that,
you're about to get me on a jag about leitmotif,
Mhm.
because that is so powerful. And if you're not using that in your tabletop games, you're like you evaluate how you like watch how Lord of the Rings uses music, because that is such a powerful tool for the table.
That moment where Merry and the books actually emphasize it even more. That moment where like they find Merry and Pippin like smoking tobacco, having enjoyed a nice meal outside of Isengard. That's an important scene.
Yeah.
Same with Sam making a rapid stew on the foot of Mordor, because these hobbits have something no one else has.
I think, like, I had a DM once who, if anyone knows me as a person, they know I'm, like, I look like a hard ass, but I'm actually incredibly sweet. Like, I'm a very, very sweet person. And I had a DM once who was like, bring that sweetness to the table. And I did. And it made everybody cry. And what my character did was so simple. It was so simple that she approached everybody and she was like, do you have something that you miss? And they were like, what are you talking about? Because we were an adventuring party. And I'm like, anything that you miss. And everyone mentioned a person, and I was able to scry. So I used up all my spell slots to scry on someone for everyone. And it was just like calling your mom, right? Like, it was this simple thing. But you guys are absolutely right. Like, those moments that aren't heavy but are still thoughtful are important. Empathy is important.
My current character buys
empathy
toys
is
for his
key.
daughter when they get to a new town to send.
Aw.
I love that.
That's the kind of things that I'm just like, yes, more of this.
I love that. It's sweet, it's empathetic, and it's kind. And I think that that's something that we could all use in our characters more. Like, if you're a murder hobo, whatever, I'm not going to hold that against you. But, like, there's something to be said. Doug. There's
Doug, do you have something to share with the group?
He just
I'm
knows
sorry.
he just knows me as a person and heard me like a day ago go off on a very, very long rant. So he knows that I also can be a murder hobo. But I think that those moments of what you two have been saying this whole time, of like lightness and empathy and like something that's lighthearted but still has weight to it, is so important. It's so important.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to circle back. I want to finish off the night with a lighter-hearted question that came in, and I'm going to take two questions and sort of mush them together. So Jim the Dim asked, what is your PC's favorite cookie or snack? And then Braids Blades asked, have any of your TTRPG characters cooked a meal for people in-game? If so, what was the occasion and what did they make? So, pick one, answer both, but there you go.
My former character Bard regularly made the characters drinks rather than food, but I made sure I knew what all their favorite drinks were.
That's fun.
That's sweet. That's really sweet.
Yeah, it really is.
What was the original question?
If you snacks, what was it?
It was
One more
either
time.
What
Luna.
is your PC's favorite cookie or snack? And then the other question that I sort of put together with it was, have any of your characters ever cooked a meal for the people in your game? And if so, what was the occasion and what did they make?
My current character, a rogue named Simon, recently discovered macarons in the city that they're
Yes.
and loves them deeply. He invested in an old lady's business because he needs them in his hometown. He was just like, "Can you open up another one of these in another city franchise?"
That's amazing.
They were considered peasant food where it was.
I really want Doug to talk because there was an episode from this season where Durak did something really sweet with food, and it was just really sweet and heartfelt. And I want you to talk about that. Sorry, your friend is on the same stream as you. I'm gonna call you out.
Oh my god. Okay. Are you talking about the thing with the chicken, with the bird?
Where
And the puppet
no,
dog?
it was after like the ghosts, and the next morning you spent all your money getting them breakfast.
Oh yeah, oh god, that's right. I had forgotten about. Oh,
I didn't.
all right,
I got
look.
you, boo.
All right, look.
Listen,
y'all.
Bear. I got you.
All right.
I got you.
I got you. Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, Durek almost died one time in an episode, like not very long ago. Like almost died for real. Almost died.
Because he aged
And,
like what, like 50 years?
He got aged 40 years. Yeah, and he was already almost 30. And as a half orc, that wasn't good for him. And which also there was a very, very powerful moment in that scene. I mean, in that little bit of the story, where an NPC, a very powerful NPC, like started dressing down one of the PCs for giving up some health points to get my character back to his proper age, and Cash, I mean, as Cash, Kate like pops in and Cash says, she's like just stops the other character in her tracks, like, wait, it's never a waste to help your friends. It's like, man, that was solid, man. It was so good. So, like, the next morning, part of the campaign, I realized Durak had nothing to give, like, nothing of worth, nothing of material value, but he had made friends with some of the food vendors in this town that they were in, because his favorite food is every food. And he can often be seen with a punch bowl full of Fruit Loops, but that's a different part of the story. But he didn't know what to do, and that's really one of the only ways that he knows how to express any kind of gratitude or feeling or love or anything like that. And so I had a little bit of gold left, and I said, all right, I spend all the rest of my money on food for everybody. And so the character like came to that morning's meeting before the adventure with like just baskets and baskets of food and no money's left.
Aw.
That's
I
so
love it.
sweet.
As a
Isn't that
Southerner,
cute?
I emphasize.
Empathize.
Empathize.
You're doing great.
We got you, boo. You're good. You're good.
I feel this.
Language. I definitely empathize with food being like this important way to show affection.
Mhm.
I love to cook, and I love making food for my family and for my wife and for my cousins. And so those things make me very happy. That's amazing. I love it.
So I played an entire campaign as a halfling grandmother. And
That is so cute.
the trade-off was I got to start as level 10, but like I had really low dex and really low strength. But like what I did was like Hero's Feast all the time. I
Love
cooked
it.
but I played it like a tri-state grandmother. So I'm like, honey, did you eat? You're such an adventurer. You need to eat more. Like it was so good. Nana Greenleaf, she was great, and she was tough. She was still tough, but like her whole thing was caring for the party, so she cooked a lot. And like this question makes me so happy because her favorite snack was Werther's and Virginals. So like she had this She had a knapsack that always had like Werther's Originals and those little like strawberry candies in them, and like
That's either like the really sweet grandmother or the creepy uncle.
right,
The way they shop
Right.
exclusively at Cracker Barrel.
right.
No middle.
There's
No.
no middle ground.
There is no in between.
Mm-mm.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and it came to a point where, like, you know, technically, according to the spell Goodberry, your good berries can take any shape that you want them to. And she was a druid. I play a druid a lot, so her good berries were Werther's Originals, and that like it just tickled me. It just made me so happy.
I love it.
So funny. I love it.
I love halfling grandma characters. I've heard that a couple times, and it's just such a good idea.
They
It's
are lovely. They are lovely.
That is
They're
so
so
fun.
fun.
I
It's
had a
the
friend-
opposite.
What about like a Dragonborn grandma character? I mean, really, like that guy's got a grandma.
I
right?
had a
Yeah.
friend roll
I mean-
an orc grandma character.
Oh my
I
gosh.
want to play a campaign that's all Meemaws and Pawpaws. Like I want to
Yeah.
play a character that's every
God.
like bring me the centaurs, bring me the drows, but you gotta have grandkids.
I love that.
I will
gosh.
happily play an old like the guy who's got the old pickin' guitar. That's just like I love to play for my grandkids. They don't know the songs, but
Like I want someone who's like, you know, a Loxodon but wears suspenders because his belly's too big to wear a belt. Like, that's what I want.
Yes, I love that.
That's what I want.
Uh-huh.
Bring that into my life.
That's an
I will
energy that you just described right there.
I will DM it for you. If somebody can bring me a party that wants to be Meemaws and Pawpaws or Mamas and Pepeps,
I was gonna
whatever
say,
you call them.
I think you've just found a party right here.
I'm gonna be Mima.
done. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm
I
in
love
for
this.
this.
That's amazing. Well,
Great.
we have reached the point in the night where we need to get ready to sign off. So
No,
I know
it went
it's
so
been
fast.
I know it's been 2 hours already. It did go
You
really
guys
fast.
have been so wonderful. This is, I mean, I had fun the last time, but like, you guys have been great. This has been a lot of fun.
It has been a lot of fun. So, what I would like everybody to do, I'm just going to go around again, have you all remind us of who you are and where we can find you on the interwebs, and all that good stuff. And then after we do that, we will draw the winner of the giveaway.
Exciting.
So make sure you get that entry in ! Ticket if you would
Sure.
like to enter to win Ray's very fantastic hand-painted Storm Giant mini. So
I love that.
Yes. So we will go in the reverse order that we went in before. So Ray, we're going to start with you.
Oh shoot, I'm first. All right, so I am Ray Mayhem basically on everything. You can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Twitch. I'm gonna start streaming my painting soon, so if you're interested in that. Also, feel free to DM me if you have questions about painting. If my commissions are open, if you're looking for anything, there's a bunch of reference on my Twitter. And again, I'm not joking. I am really good at like character building. So if you're stuck, hit your girl up. I got you.
Yes. Yeah, she's super fun to play with. So definitely look her up if you're looking for help. So, yeah. All right. Casey, you're next.
hey, like I said, I'm Casey Williams, the Adjunct GM. You can find me on the Twitch of the same name, twitch.tv/the Adjunct GM. I'm on Twitter as @Casey931. Coming up this Friday, we are premiering our new Witcher campaign. You Can't Teach an Old Wolf New Tricks. It will be set 50 years after The Witcher 3 and involve the rise of a new Witcher school funded by the Empire. I am very
I love everything about this.
It's really cool.
I'm here for it.
I am so excited. We have a great list of players as well. I will be having my Discord opened up soon. I've been told that my friend who's making it says it's done. And one thing I'm really, really excited about that all of you folks I want to see there, if possible, we're going to be doing a Lore Writers book club so that for everyone to share their maps and their history and their world stuff with everyone, where we can all appreciate it together and give notes and help each other out.
Excellent.
cool.
That sounds very cool. I think we will definitely be checking all those things out. Chase, over to you.
All right. My name is Chase Greenlee. You can find me at TQ Loudly on the Twitter. You can also find me as the DM on Another Path. That is a D&D actual play podcast. You can also find me as a player on Imprinted Echoes, which is a cipher system podcast set in the world of Numenera. So if you want something with a little bit of a different flavor there. And you can also find me as the Mostly Quiet producer on Shakespeare, which is a roundtable. Now, it originally was a Shakespeare discussion podcast. Now, because we have done all of the Shakespeare plays, we've done them all. It took us 3 years, but we did it. But we're moving on to general classics. We're in the middle of a break right now because we just wrapped the last Shakespeare play. That was Macbeth. We saved that one for last. But we're going to be
smart.
But we're going to be coming back in December with A Christmas Carol.
Nice.
Once more to the breach, dear friend. Once more.
What? But yeah, we'll be doing that and hopefully doing some interview style stuff. So we're opening up that format a little bit. And if you like that general flavor of things, I definitely recommend checking out the Ghostlight Media Podcast Network at ghostlightmedia.net. Also, if you're a fan of the McElroy brothers, you can also find us at biggerpipes.com. Because that was a joke they made and they didn't swoop that URL. So I have it now.
There you go.
Shakespeare is my jam. I will be checking out all of your stuff.
Excellent. Likewise.
Awesome. All right, Doug.
All right. So you can find me at DougGBQ on Twitter. That's about it. And you can hear me on Good Better Quest, which is a damn fine podcast y'all should be listening to. Mostly because I'm good, but everybody else is better. And then also, y'all, for real, I just love playing. I'm more of an actor than a gamer, honestly. Like, for me, it's all about just like getting in there and playing a character and having some fun with it and letting the dice tell a story. But like, I am actively seeking other games to play in because I just want to gain a little bit of experience for real in real life, and also, I mean, listen to this voice.
I was gonna say, y'all, like, isn't he like Doug and I are working on something on the low that we're hoping is gonna be a thing. We're working on a project together. But wouldn't you just like to listen to him all day? Like, I like to let this man talk at me. Like, he just read me the ingredients to like Count Chocula, baby. Like, whatever. Like, say in that accent, and I'm here for it. Good God.
I love that. All right.
Any match tonight? Like, I don't like what it's
yeah, it's cute.
so good.
Well,
And
Bonnie,
you too, Bonnie.
how do
Bonnie.
you how do you follow
I'm
that
good.
one up, huh?
Hi, I'm Bonnie Jean. You can find me Only Frogs with a Z on TikTok, where I dance with a frog hat on and just dance, and it's pretty neat. Or
here
you
for
can
That's quality TikTok content.
Right?
Just stop
Bonnie-
what you're doing and go look at that now.
Angel. Bonnie is an angel. She is amazing. We love her. She does no wrong.
I am really fun to play with and make jokes. And that's pretty much all I have to say. If you want to play a game with me, let me know. I don't want to be recorded, but I will be in your game.
Girl, we're here for you. We got you, boo-boo.
Love that.
We love you.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming to hang out tonight. And we have a giveaway to pull. So let's do that. Make sure that your entries are in. I'm going to close the entries in just a minute. ! Ticket if you haven't gotten one in yet. And let's see. I'm going to close the giveaway in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I see some last minute entries coming in. All right, I'm going to close the giveaway now. And we are going to draw the winner. The winner is... Dun dun dun. Nuh-uh. He's not even here. You have to be in chat to win. David Tilstra.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Next.
Oh no. you.
Someone cast
Thank
sending.
you.
Let them know.
Yeah.
Let's just make sure he's not lurking. But David Tilstra,
Yeah.
if you are here,
Davy Dave.
Oh no.
David,
Oh no.
David,
Oh no.
David's gone.
bees. David Tilstra told me I could have it.
All
All right, we are going to redraw because, of course,
Oh.
David had to step away.
Bounce.
So the new winner is N Lacey 70.
Yeah.
And they're
Are you
here.
They're here.
Oh, that's Nolan.
Is that Nolan?
That's my boy Nolan. That's Yardy
Yardy.
right there.
Oh,
yeah.
Yardy, I'm gonna
He's
send you.
Ruffin and Griffon.
I'm gonna send Yardy a sassy note with it. I hope he's okay with that.
Yeah, Yardy would totally dig a sassy note.
Yeah. So the winner, if you want to hit me up, it's Ray Mayhem, literally everywhere. You can hit me up on Twitch or Twitter. Slide into my DMs, baby, and then we'll get it taken care of. I'll get this shipped out to you right away.
Fantastic.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much for giving us an awesome mini for the giveaway. And we are going to...
Anything for you, Luna. Anything for you.
No, you're so
Yes.
nice.
No.
You're the best, Luna. We love you.
We do
Yeah.
love you.
No,
Anything for you.
Oh my gosh. All right, you
Yeah,
guys
you
are
guys
so
are all
fun.
great.
You all are all great. So this is the Shared Experience channel. Thank you all for coming to hang out with us tonight. We had a ton of fun. This was a lot of fun. We do this every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you're ever interested in being a guest on the show, feel free to reach out to me. Or I'm going to be putting a tweet out again soon, actually, with a sign-up form on it. So take a look out for that. I'm going to be booking... it's almost weird to say this. I'm going to start booking for the new year, probably in about a week. So we are booked up.
You should have us all back at the same time, Luna. This was
Yes.
a blast.
Yeah.
I had
Don't
a
threaten me with a good time.
We should do a game together.
Doug, you were all fantastic.
Yeah.
Luna, I love you. I'll do anything for you. Please book us all again at the same time.
I will
One
see
shot
what I can
granny
do.
quest.
Yeah.
One shot. Here we go. You have 2 hours.
Yes.
Let's do it. And you can catch us Wednesday nights on Shared Experience. We have our Pathfinder campaign, which is on at 8 p.m. Eastern also, which runs from 8 to 11 or 5 to 9, 5 to 8. I can't time zone. And it starts at 5 Pacific. I can tell you that much. And you can also catch Tales from the Tavern is also now available in podcast form. So if you like to catch up on podcasts, if you don't, if you miss part of the show, you can go back and listen to us. They're usually up by the following Sunday. So just depends on editing time and all that stuff. So we're usually about a week behind on the podcast. But if you ever want to look for us wherever you find your podcasts. I think that about does it. So let's find somebody for us to raid. We are going
And since Ray asked for me to sing, it's good to have you with us, even if it's just for a game.
Yay! Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you for humoring me.
All right. We are going to raid Lionhead Gaming. They're playing some D&D tonight. And it is their Heroes of Thylea game, which is set in like old Greece, which is a lot of fun.
Ooh,
Yeah,
cool.
so
Nice.
show them some love, say hello, and we will see you all again next week on another episode of Tales from the Tavern with a whole new set of ghosts. Oh my god.
Ghosts.
We've been dead the whole time. Ooh, late spooky.
Well, I've been playing way too much Phasmophobia, you can tell.
Big spooky.
It's a little bit spooky, yeah. All right, well, I hope you all have a great night, and we will see you again very, very soon. Have a great night.
Thank you. Bye.
I have to show you guys my frog hat.
I need it. I literally need to
Yes.
Give
see
me a
it.
sec.
I need to see it.
Immediately.
Doug, if you are looking for other games to play in, I will definitely hit you up.